Oh yeah, so it's the 1st of March today. I just thought I'd give you a real quick walk around the replanting of the firewood plantation. I finally finished it yesterday. So all I've basically done, I've left this area behind the track here clear, because this is where we have our planning application and we've got the appeal going in at the moment. So I just figured there's no point in planting that up now, just in case we should get permission. So this is the walkway down to my bees, and what I've done is I've put a lot of hazels each side, because I think that would look quite nice in the future to have the hazels growing up and over the pathway, so creating like a nice little tunnel path through the hazels. So all these here are hazels, and all I've done since the eucalyptus has failed is I've reused all the guards, and I've basically planted all my sycamores in the centre, and like I say, I've edged the paths with the hazels. So I've put, I think, 120 sycamores in here, and about 100 hazels. The other 50 hazels that I grew, I've dotted about up the top of the holding. So basically, I've got this path here that goes down. I'm just trying not to wobble the camera too much. This goes down to my bees, and I've got one more path, a bit of a sort of wibbly wobbly path, goes up and does a little turn, just to create, I like to have these little paths that I can walk down. You know, I walk around holding a lot, just sort of looking at everything, checking everything, and it's just nice to have these little paths set out. So I've lined all these with a lot of hazel. Like I say, this just sort of twists and turns a bit, and comes up to the top here, and this is about where I've stopped the planting, because I just like to leave a little bit of an area. So I've got an apple tree here, but other than that, this area here is clear, just for somewhere else that I can put my tent, and or park my van if I'm doing any work on the trees in the future when I'm cutting them down to load up. So come along the top here, and this is coming down now to the area that I've been coppicing this year. So I was going to come up to here. I've got about 8 beech trees in there, which I was given from a tree surgeon friend of mine, left over from a hedge planting job. They've probably been in 17 years, and they're about 25 foot now, and I was going to come up to those, but I'm actually going to leave some of these here now, because a friend of mine's coming tomorrow, and I've got some ash trees to thin out in the hedge. The other side of the holding, the hedge was laid, I mean, donkeys years ago. The bit that's laid and is now horizontal is about 18 inches thick, but some of the uprights, because the farmer hasn't cut the hedge that side, because it's kind of like a shared hedge between us, some of the upright growths are now about 6 or 8 inches across, and I'm just worried they're going to get a bit too big and start splitting the hedge out. So I think once he cuts those out for me and drops them safely without damaging the fence, I think I'm going to have enough firewood for next year. So I've actually stopped my coppicing just there. I only did not even half of what I was planning on doing. I probably will just take these last few out here up to these smaller ones. A lot of these are smaller because this first part of the slope is the really driest patch, and they just don't grow particularly well there. What I'm actually going to start doing is just putting my rubbish in there, all green rubbish, or anything like hedge trimmings and perhaps some of the grass cutting, stuff like that. I'm just going to start tipping in here and kicking around amongst the trees, just to try and mulch the ground a bit, and obviously that will all break down and improve the soil, but just to help hold moisture in the heat. And I've also got to chip all of this. This is all my brash from the coppicing. I'm going to do a couple of biochar burns, so that I've got enough biochar to add to my compost through the summer, and the rest will just be chipped, and then I'm going to use that to just go around some of these trees on this bank here. You can see I've already infilled all the green tubes are sycamores, and then some of these smaller ones are hazels, and I've also run out of guards, so I've just marked where any of the hazels that haven't got guards are with a cane. and I'm hoping to pick up some more guards off a job. I've got a parish council job, and there's an orchard sort of group that does the orchard in the wildflower meadow, and there's a big ton bag of used tree guards, but proper Tubex guards, and you know, I'll take anything, I will. So they're going free, so I think I'm going to have them if they're not too brittle, and I'll use them to do any of the unguarded hazels. So yeah, this is the last. I've got to dice up these logs here. This is the last of my coppicing, and like I say, just take the last few trees over there. But it's been really good to get all my trees in. We've had a fair bit of mild weather, and some of the hazels are actually just starting to the buds are just starting to burst. So it's actually nice to get it all in and finished. And I've got a few left. Unfortunately, a rabbit got into my vegetable garden, which is where I had my young trees, and it had just nipped the tips off of about 20 of the sycamores and about the same of the hazels. So what I'm probably going to do is just pop those on into 5-litre pots, trim them down a bit to just a couple of inches from the ground, and hope that they'll, as a 2-year-old tree, will coppice and have 2 or 3 main shoots, and I'll grow them up and I'll plant them out next year. But we had a bit of wind last night, and a couple of the guards, as you can see, have blown over. They're just old canes. I'm going to have to put some new canes on some of them and reinforce them a bit. But yeah, so this is looking back now up the track, away from the bees. That is my bees in there in the conifer hedge. And this area here, there are a few trees in there, some limes and a couple of other things, 1 or 2 surviving eucalyptus from the 200 I put in. But this is where we got planning application in to hopefully put our off-grid house. I don't hold out much hope, to be honest. The council's just, you know, they're supposed to be encouraging housing, and not, you know, sustainable housing should be ideal, but you know, you put a decent application in for a fully off-grid house and they just say no. But you know, we're going to appeal it anyway. But yeah, so that's the plan, and this is all now quite densely planted. I mean, they're up to about 10 foot apart, a lot of the sycamores. Some of them are 5 or 6 feet apart, but the idea is, as I grow my hazels more, I will infill with hazels too, which will give me more biomass, either for biochar or just for chipping back onto the ground, because some of this hill ground, like I say, it's very shaly. I think the ground was made up many years ago with shingle and a bit of topsoil to meet where the landfill was behind it. There's no landfill under me, it's behind many years ago, and it's just so stony. It's really well drained, and of course, it just, in a heat wave in the summer, if we get a really long hot spell, it does dry out. So I just want to start getting some organic matter onto the ground. So anything, hedge clippings, grass, and chipping my wood, I'm going to spread that around as well. It's just quite important, but it should get there. And obviously, as these trees grow, we'll have the extra leaf fall. It'll all start to create that sort of forest floor that I want. And yeah, it's nice to get it done now with native trees. The eucalyptus, they were worth a go, but I am now 2 years behind and quite a few quid out of pocket. But at least it's done now, it's planted up, and I'll keep you sort of updated on how it goes on. But there's no reason, because I know sycamores, and I've put how many do I have? I had about 20 or 30 silver birch there dotted in amongst the sycamores as well, just in groups of 3 or 4 here and there, just for something a bit different, because they all do well on this ground. The silver birch actually particularly seems to like it. I don't know if it's because the stony sort of limestone, more of a chalky sort of soil, possibly they prefer that more, but they seem to do quite well this side of the holding. But anyway guys, yeah, that's it. The firewood plantation is now fully planted back up after the total disaster of the eucalypts. But anyway, take these guys, and we will see you next time.